Hello, I am Coach Mo, and we're here on the Evening Social Podcast. The Evening Social Podcast is a platform that the Jegna Klub uses to push their vision of building a community of individuals that have an entrepreneurial mindset and that are economically independent, working in harmony. This platform allows us to introduce careers. So it's a career exploration platform so that our youth in our community can see professionals thriving in their fields. That look like them from their same background. Tonight's episode is the tree surgeon. So tonight's guest was born and raised in the Show Me State from Kansas City, Missouri. He's an entrepreneur owning his own business since 2016. I won't hold against him that he attended K-State. We won't say nothing about that. And he's also a member of the International Society of Arboriculture, the ISA, and he's a certified arborist. Tonight we have Mr. Jeremy James.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Good.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Man, excited to have you here, man.
Yeah.
This is, I'm excited, and I'm going to tell you for why I'm excited here in just a second.
Okay.
All right. So part of the definition of Jegna Klub is the not-for-profit organization that this is under, the platform for. And so part of the definition of that is being able to speak truth to power.
Okay.
Some people will call them hard conversations. I think it's just conversations, being upfront, honest, because I always say this conversation is not for me and you.
Yeah.
This conversation is for those who came before us and those who come after us. So we're honoring the people who got us here.
Yeah.
And then we're also uplifting those who come behind us so they can have a clear path.
Gotcha.
All right. So I'm excited. It's Jay's Pro Arborist Care. So no lie, this is why I'm excited. When my cousin Dominique was telling me about you, he said he's an arborist. And, it's my little cousin, so I ain't saying nothing at first. I'm like, I don't know what an arborist is, really. Well, I'm not saying that, but he just keeps telling me. I'm like, okay, man, let's talk to him. I want to have him on the show because I've never heard of it. I know that our youth don't heard of it.
Yeah.
So, man, we probably went 10 minutes. I'm like Googling, man, what's an arborist? You know what I mean? And tree surgeon comes up.
Sir.
And I'm like, tree surgeon? I'm like, I didn't know that was the proper term for people who, care for trees and all that. I didn't understand it. So I was like, great. So I would like you, before we get started on anything else, I want you to tell our listeners, what is an arborist?
Okay. So an arborist is basically the professional tree trimmer. So you may have the ones that come cut your trees or, prune it back or whatever, lift some limbs off of there. But like what we do as arborists, we actually specialize in the care of the tree, taking care of it, making sure that whatever cuts or pruning cuts that we make are proper pruning cuts, or pruning them at the right time of season according to the species of the tree. Because different trees require pruning at different times of the year. We stay current and up to date on different diseases and different things that are kind of prevalent, in the area, in the neighborhoods or in the region. That say if we're going to do a tree, we kind of know, if this is an ash tree, then it's had a problem with beetles lately, and they've been killing all the ash trees in this region. So we kind of, basically we just kind of specialize in the tree care.
Right.
Yeah.
I like how you said it.
Yeah.
You're in the profession of tree care.
Yeah. In the
so
profession.
It's not just person who just goes and cut. You actually study and know, the tree care.
Yep. From the seed all the way up.
Correct.
Yep. From the roots, everything. Yep.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I like that. So let me ask you, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes,
How long you been married?
So been married since 2017.
You're gonna make me do math. Okay. 2017, we in 21. That's 4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to Wyandotte High School. I can't count.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why not?
One thing I can't do is count.
Hey,
All right.
Yeah, it's all good.
How many,
Yeah.
you have kids?
Yes, I do. I
how
got
many?
3 boys. I got
have
3
3 boys?
boys. Yeah,
Okay,
I do.
great.
Yeah. So
All
I got a 14-year-old, I got a 7-year-old, and I got one that just turned 5 years old.
Okay.
So 3 boys, 3 young ones, man.
Great. Did he about to start school, the 5-year-old?
Yeah, all of them about to. Well, yeah, he's about to go into kindergarten now, so
okay,
we're pretty excited
yeah.
about that. He's excited about getting to go to school with his older brother Jeremiah. So, my 7-year-old. So yeah, he's pretty excited about that, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, is it okay for me to call you Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I had to make sure. I know Jeremy is the property. I don't know if I had to keep it all the way
Yeah,
professional.
yeah, not Jay. I'm cool with Jay. That's what I grew up with. You know, call me Jay. That's cool.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So, Jay, I first have a section in here, just kind of, I call it fun questions or icebreaker, just kind of before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts. I just kind of want to break the ice a little bit and, relax. So,
Okay.
I got a few fun questions for you. Number one fun question, and this is crazy that I got on here without my readers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the kids been telling me, because I used to have my papers out here, and I'm looking at my paper. They tell me, you gotta get out. That's old. That's old, man. Get your tablet. Tablet game up. I'm like, man, I can't stay. It's like, well, so I listened to them. Guess what? I can make it bigger. I got me a tablet. I can make it bigger. Now I don't need. I need my reader, but I don't have my readers today.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first icebreaker or fun question we got is: what ridiculous thing has someone tricked you into doing or believing?
Let's see. I don't know. I've had quite a bit of them, man. I've had some good friends over. A lot of good friends over at good times. So let's see. I think one of the worst ones, actually, my aunt, she made these. What was it like? It's like supposed to be like cornbread, but it was for April Fools, and man, it was. I still can taste it, and I think I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, but it was like a lot of baking soda. Like she purposely kind of did it, and yeah, man, and it was rough, man.
Okay.
That's one of the. That's one I will actually remember that one more than any of them.
Okay.
Like yeah, yeah.
All right. What's the worst present you ever received?
Worst gift I ever received. Ooh.
I see you thinking. You trying not to get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, all right, what's a gift that ain't a dead giveaway? What's the worst gift I ever received? I did receive the same gift twice before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Safe.
There we go.
Okay.
It was the same, and it was the exact same shirt actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was by mistake or whatever. I done that. I had that.
Well, Jay, you're a smart man.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
said you kept.
I had to think about it.
We tried. I tried to get you to put it out there. Okay. All right. If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. Cookies.
Cookies.
I'm like the cookie monster, man. Everybody know me. They know that's my go-to, cookies, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was easy. Okay. Would your friends consider you a fashionista or a nonconformist?
That's a good question. I wonder what my friends think about that. I tend to try to do my own thing and kind of do my own style. You know what I mean? I like to try to dress comfortably in what I feel comfortable in and what I think looks good, And my wife might say I'm more of a fashionista because she'd be like, okay, here he go. He got to get dressed. Here he go. And then, I'm sitting there and I'm like kind of put the shirt to this and, this and that, but I just want it to flow well,
Okay. All right. So what's your idea of a professional dress?
Professionally dressed?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the setting. But in most cases, if you say, professional or business professional, whether it's, whatever it is, most cases it's going to be I would think, slacks and at least a polo or a button up, but if you start going to business casual, maybe a blazer,
Okay.
business professional.
Okay.
I guess you throw a tie to go in and have on a full suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got you. I like it. I like it. So, what 3 words would your friends use to describe you?
Most of them say I'm. They usually say I'm funny, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I do have a sense of humor though.
Okay.
Try to. I always stay positive.
Okay.
And what's another one? Okay, since it's gonna be all my friends, they're gonna call me tardy.
Okay. Okay. Funny, positive, and tardy. Okay. Okay. Well, you kept it real.
He's like, there's like, one thing we know about Jeremy, whatever it's gonna be, he gonna be there late. But,
Okay. Well, you was on
I got a
time
lot.
today.
Yeah, no, I've gotten a whole lot better.
Okay,
I've gotten
okay.
a whole lot better, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
you got to, man. Become
Now
an
we-
entrepreneur, you got to.
Now we know you're human.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm human, man.
Okay. All right.
And I'm human. Definitely human.
Okay, I got 2 more for you. Okay. Now these, I think I know what your answer is. It's probably gonna be, Kansas, but I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's the better food, Kansas or Missouri?
Come on, man. It's KCMO. KCMO, baby.
Okay. Where's the? Where? So
I
let me ask
gotta
you
give it to you though. I went to a place, and I don't know if this is. I ain't gonna promotion wise, but I did go to a place.
We can say it.
Okay, and it was the mason jar over here. I don't know. In KCK, I was working Storm one day.
Yeah.
And me and some buddies came over there, and the food surprised me. That burger was real good.
Okay.
But that was, but I haven't, to be honest, I ain't been around a whole lot of places over in Kansas. So,
Okay. Well, you need to get out more.
Yeah.
You need to expand your taste buds.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get out here and see what's up now that you asked me about it. I feel like I need to do some homework.
Okay,
So,
well, KCK is
yeah.
the home of the the tacos, man.
Oh, yeah.
Nationally known, #1 place for tacos.
You know
KCK.
what?
And the best pizza place in Kansas City, not just K, but Missouri, the best pizza place, top 100 in the nation, Wilson's Pizzas here in KCK.
Ah, okay.
So you gotta
I'm gonna have to do I'm gonna have to go ahead and do my homework.
Expand
get some
your
eating,
palate, man.
And I'll get back with you on that. Maybe I might change my mind, but
Okay.
right now,
I got you. I got you. I mean, I like some places over there too.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand. Where'd you meet your wife at? Kansas, Missouri, or not?
Missouri.
Even
High school. High school sweetheart, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't ask you this question. I'm gonna keep that one. I don't want you to get in trouble going home. All right. Now I'm gonna ask you this: better education, Kansas or Missouri? You ain't got to answer
see.
that. I just threw that in.
You
You ain't got to answer that. We ain't gonna throw nobody on the bus or nothing. I just threw that in there just to see what you was gonna say.
Man. Okay, I went to look. I'll be fair. I'll be fair. I won't be biased about this. Now, I know we got a couple good schools. Some that have made a lot more stride as of late than others. But I have known that y'all have had some pretty good some good schools. Especially even for the the public schools. In the was it Kansas School District? What is it?
Yeah,
KCK School
Public
District.
schools, yeah.
So I hear a lot of good things about Sumner.
Yes, sir.
A lot of my friends from K-State went to Sumner.
Yes,
And a lot of them they're doing well, and a lot of them are good, intelligent friends. We get into the game Taboo. Yeah. Those are like the most intense games of Taboo is usually against those Sumner kids. I will admit that.
Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. All right. I understand. Last fun question. I know exactly the answer you're gonna say. This. All right. Where's the worst smelling place you've ever been?
Worst smelling place. As soon as you cross the river, man. As soon as you cross the river, you be on the highway coming from from the Missouri side to the Kansas side, and just boom, right there.
Man.
Yeah, it just take over your whole car.
Oh man, so you mean that's worse than the smell in Manhattan?
Man, oh well, you
so
might
you
have
think
a point.
I've been there?
Because around the rodeo time, man,
Yeah,
boy,
buddy.
you get out, you step out your
Manhattan's
room on
not-
campus, and you be
Even
like,
though I rock with the Jayhawks,
yeah,
I do. K-State is a wonderful school, especially agriculture. What they do for, you know what I'm saying? It's a great school. We've taken several trips there, especially so the kids can understand the agriculture, what they have.
Yeah.
And it's a great school. So
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it. We
Yeah.
just joking. But that is one thing that I always remember because I went one time.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
oh yeah, it's got the every now and then it gets it's sometimes it's stronger than others, but
Yeah.
normally around the rodeo time and
Right.
I don't know whatever time it is, but you get out there sometimes you just like
Boy.
you gotta just wipe
Now,
your
for
mouth.
us, though, when we get on the highway to go to Missouri, we smell that.
Yeah, that's just that last little that's just the last little hint from Kansas, like you enter Missouri, like, hey, before you go, man, I'm gonna let you know, this is what Kansas smell like before you smell that good Missouri side.
Okay, we thought they was telling us close our nose and we go.
So
All right, man. So let's talk a little bit. We know that you said you were born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. All right. So where in Kansas City, Missouri were you?
So I grew up in Midtown, basically. So
Midtown,
27th Street is is the
So you're not from the
specifically.
you from the 30s? That's what they say.
No, 20, 20, they
I'm just
Twelve
talking
side,
shit.
Trey
Okay,
side, they say
okay.
all that stuff,
I'm just
you know how. But now I grew up off of 27th Street. That's where my grandmother lived, and come from a big family. Man, we all just that's where it is, man. When you think of home, you think of 27th in Brooklyn. That's boom, that's home.
27. Okay, nice. So let me ask you a little bit, since you brought up family. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Describe the relationship that you had growing up with your mom.
Oh, well, my mom, man, she's always a breath of fresh air, man. That's mom's, man. So definitely love her like no other, man. She was always around, always a hard worker. I think I get my heart, the way I operate, and kind of just my, I guess you call it spirit of discernment or whatever. Get it from her.
Good.
She's always held it down. She worked for U.S. Census Bureau for years, man, and then now for FEMA. But she's always held it down, man. I do want to tell you a quick story.
Okay.
And this is anytime I think about my mom, I always think about this. So I like to think of myself as a real fast person. Like, I'm saying, speed, like brawl.
Oh, running.
Yeah,
Okay.
running.
I got
Right.
you.
I'm talking. I can get down. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So one day I got in trouble by my mom. And my mom's a little bigger lady, at the time. And so I'm getting my butt whooped, and then I decide, what, I don't know if I grabbed the belt or something, and I did whatever I did, it ticked her off, and I seen her coming for me, so I just took off, like, man, I'm out of here, and I run down the street, man, and I'm gone, and little did I know, man, I just right behind me, I hear, right on my tail, I did not, man. So she can move, man. She can move. I'm telling you,
so
down
Mom-
the street.
Mom hawks you down.
Hey, when I knew at that moment, I was like, all right, I better stop because she ain't playing no games, man.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
But, yeah. Yeah, man.
Okay. So describe your relationship with your dad growing up.
So my dad, man, same thing, man. Man, love him. He's my dad's a preacher, pastor.
Okay.
So he just growing up, we kind of grew up in the church, on both sides of my family, actually. On my dad's side, my mom's side, we always grown up in the church, but definitely with my dad, it was that was the thing that, I always remember. Always, and he was just growing up through the church, and he's a disciplinarian, you know what I mean? So making sure we stayed in line. But, all those times where they was being strict and being on our heads about stuff, it made us better people today, I will say that. I think that he definitely, has played an important role of becoming, who I am today. Just trying to make sure I stay on the, straight and narrow. I don't care what it is. He's got a lecture for it. You know what I'm saying? If I ask him for $5, he gonna lecture me about why I ain't got $5. You need to do this. You need to do that. You got to do this. How come you ain't did this yet? Like, you did that yet?
Yeah.
That was like kind of growing up, and so like I would, and actually to be honest, a lot of times I would try to avoid him. Sometimes I'm like, man, I don't feel like hearing all that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, my dad, he's a good guy too, man.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I like that, man. We we ask these questions because we want our youth and our listeners to understand relationships are different. There's some relationships that take a traditional path, some that don't take a traditional path, but all these relationships kind of help form who we are.
Yeah.
I love to hear you say, both of them had a role in who you are today.
Yeah.
And what you do. I like that.
Yeah.
I love to hear you say some of the ethics, the things that they taught you then that you look to now.
Yeah.
And you may at that time didn't like it or, didn't understand it. But as you got older, you start realizing, okay, what it is. My dad used to always say, a big saying, you ain't gonna get it now, but the light bulb will turn on. And I'm like, whatever I want. But the light bulb turned on eventually. See what he's saying.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's kind of why we asked that.
Okay.
You mentioned about your grandparents. So tell me about your relationship with your grandparents.
So I've had a relationship with both my grandmothers on my mom's side and my dad's side. I didn't have a much of a relationship with my grandfathers. I had my grandmothers, but not with my grandfathers. And which that was one thing I always wish I did, but as far as my grandmothers, once again, on my dad's side, my grandma, she was, and on my mom's side, both of them were, church ladies with Sunday hats, typical grandmother, hook you up, with some snacks here and there, kind of, spoil you a little bit. I remember my grandma Nave, which on my dad's side, she's the one taught me how to make what do you call the mackerels or something like that, the salmon cakes or something like that. Croquet.
Yeah.
She taught me how to make that, scrambled eggs, you know what I mean? And then my grandma on my mom's side, Grandma Sweet, she taught me how to sew. It was one day I came over with a ripped coat. And the cotton was hanging all out of there. And I was just going to roll with it like that. She's like, boy, you need to sew that up. I was like, I don't know how to sew. And just boom, right there on the spot. And Grandma was like, all right, you going to learn now. And kind of showed me that, yeah, man. But grew up knowing them. My grandfathers, I don't remember much about my grandfather on my dad's side. I think I met him probably just a couple times. But my grandfather on my mom's side, I remember him. Quite a bit. We used to go, visit him and stuff, and he would give us deer jerky. He was an outdoorsman and stuff. So he liked to fish. I do remember that about him. But we actually did move around a lot, so I can't be like, hey, it's just I didn't know my grandfather because he wasn't there, but because that wasn't the case with it. But it was just, that was just the way it was. Growing up, I didn't see him too often. I just honestly didn't know my grandfather on my dad's side though. So it's one thing that I like to know though. You get to know more about that. So
understand. Okay. So, you mentioned the deer jerky. My brother-in-law is an outdoorsman.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with that, and he makes this deer sausage, like summer sauce.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Oh, the mug's fire.
Oh, fire, man. Woo. I'm gonna have to make sure we we hook up. I get you, man. It's fire.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Okay, so let's talk. You have brothers and sisters?
Yeah,
So-
I got one brother, 2 sisters.
One brother, 2 sisters.
Yep,
Where are you?
I'm the third.
You're the third.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who's
So
the
I
oldest?
got an oldest sister, my brother, me, and then my younger sister.
Youngsters. Okay.
Yep.
So the boys are in the middle.
Yep,
The girls
yeah.
are the bookends.
Yeah.
All right. Just describe a little bit about your relationship with them.
Well, my brothers and sisters. So growing up, man, we was church kids, so we was kind of sheltered, you know.
Okay.
So we actually spent quite a bit of time with each other, you know. A lot of it was good times. A lot of times we was fighting each other, you know. But you know, to this day, you know, we wouldn't change it for the world. You know, I love my brothers and sisters like no other. You know, we always like. When I say I have a sense of humor, like it runs in our family. Like that's what we do. We get together, we crack jokes, we laughing, and that's you know that's family time for us because we know it don't matter where we go, it's gonna be something funny. Somebody go get roasted or something, you know. It's, and normally we roasted each other, you know what I'm saying, we've always, you know, had each other's back, you know, through thick and thin, and you know, it's still like that to this day, you know.
Good, man. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Good relationship with your family.
Yeah.
Mom, dad, good. And then with your brothers, real.
Yeah.
Boy, I like the fact, you know, you all can joke. That makes me think about my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Always joking.
Yeah.
Laughing, you know, out of love. We had our moments too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's brothers and sisters. That's real siblings. But when it comes down to it, it's love.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. I'm finally starting to calm down.
Yeah.
Sweating coming in here, cutting. You know,
I was all nervous when we first started. I'm like, all right,
I'm
here we go.
starting to
Now
get-
we in cruise control now.
moving. First day of school today, I'm moving. You know, sweating. So now I'm starting to get down to it. Okay, let's move a little bit to school. We're gonna getting into school, kind of the early age. So, what grade school did you attend?
So shoot, man, a lot of them.
Okay.
Let's see.
So you moved around. So
Yeah, we moved
Okay.
around a lot. So let's see, Pitcher Elementary, and then went from there. Went to left from Pitcher and went to Silver City, actually, KCK.
KCK.
Yeah.
So you do got
a little bit,
KCK
a little
in you.
bit.
Okay, you down there, the Argentine, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, went to Silver City and then left there and then went to Boone Elementary over in the Center School District.
Okay.
Then left from there and went to. Actually, I went to middle school from there.
Okay.
And I went to Lakeview Middle School out in Parkville.
Lakeview.
Yep, left from Lakeview and went to J. Rogers.
Okay.
So I did Lakeview 6th grade, part of 7th grade, then finished 7th grade at J. Rogers, and then went to 8th grade at Northeast, or middle school, and then finished out school at Northeast. Went to Northeast High School. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So changing schools, because we have some of our listeners and our young ones that do change in schools. You know, tell me, how did you deal with it? How did
You know what? I
change
didn't enjoy it much, and to this day, it was always hard for me because it's like I felt like when I see people, they got like childhood friends that they kind of grew up with, which I got friends that I know from my childhood or whatever, but it's not like the same. It's like, hey, I went to this school with them, but like I was only there for like a year, you know, versus going all the way through school with them. And so the nice thing is that I had to learn to be comfortable in new settings. It helped me out a lot actually, because with me always being a new person, instead of waiting to, you know, people to come talk to me or whatever, I just open my mouth first. I would just, boom, hey, what's up? I'm Jeremy, you know, and boom. That way I can kind of get rid of all the, you know, awkwardness or uneasiness. You know, sometimes I kind of stay to myself, you know, to kind of get a feel for the room or the air, you know, an environment or whatever. But in most cases, you know, if was somebody in proximity, boom, let me go ahead and get this over with, establish myself, I'm here.
Okay. Nice, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to a little more to reaching out. Got it.
Yeah, but it was kind of tough because you know, with also changing different schools, you get different teachers. You know, you learning for, you know, a certain subject, maybe math or science in a certain way, you know, and then you switch schools and it's different, you know, or just different expectations and requirements, you know. So where some schools where the curriculum was a little easier, or you know, I guess you call it easier. Then you get to other schools or other teachers where you just like, ain't no way. This they think I'm in college already. Like, you know, you want me to write how many papers, you know, or you know. But you know, that was you know, a little bit of a you know, a little bit of a struggle there, you know.
Okay. All right. So do you think that played any role in who you are today and what you do?
I think it does because I got a lot of friends, man. I make a lot of friends, and you know, and part of it is because I'm a people person as well. But you know, just kind of looking back over the years, I was like, dude, I've met a lot of people. You know, I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line, even you know, with you being a generation above me, I'm guarantee you, somewhere or another, I'm bumping elbows with people you know,
Right.
and you know, so that's kind of played a role as, you know, just sorry, I don't know where I
It's
was.
okay. It's all good. You played a role.
But yeah, man, just meeting a bunch of people, man, and just kind of you know, making friends here and there. Just how I am today, man. I get it, go places, and you know, it's easier for me to network, easier for me to kind of open my mouth or just you know talk to people, relate to people from all different backgrounds because I've literally been almost everywhere. Yeah, man. I've been, you know, I mean, for example, like you know, I've been to just like the schools like where in the public schools like or in the city where you know where they weren't getting much money rolling in through the schools, and you can tell by the textbooks and the this and this and that. And for example, when I went up to Parkville, I was like, oh, y'all got this.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like a change of, you know, it was definitely a change of environment, culture shock too, because, you know, I went from where it was a lot of us, you know, a lot of black people, and I went up there and, you know, I'm like, you know, I walk in, they like, oh, man.
Yeah.
We got, you know, it was only like maybe 5 or 6 of us black kids at the school at the time when I went to Lakeview. Maybe 10, if yeah, I don't know. Right. So maybe some I didn't see.
Right, I got you.
But yeah, man. So you know, it got me kind of used to the change of environments and stuff like that. You know, and you know the same thing. Like I said, just kind of is nowadays, man.
Good. I'm asking because that is a situation that a lot of our young ones and and we know it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, but to see that there is something that you can get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, shaping your personality, shaping the ability to make friends, the ability to network, the ability to be in different settings.
Yeah.
You know, and then learn how to get comfortable.
Yeah.
I think it's something to say. I know it's not easy at one point, but there is something to be saying. It's a skill to be able to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a very good skill, and it can take you a long way. That's something that I kind of wanted them to understand and see. Yeah, it was hard. Yeah. But, you know, on the other end, these are some of the things that you can gain out of it. Yeah. So if you look at it in this way, then it's a little different.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So did you play any sports?
Yeah, I played football. Ran track. That was my main too. I think I played basketball a little bit. I wasn't much of a basketball player. I could pass.
Okay, I got you.
I could dribble real fast, but I was just always like speedy, and I just love football, man. Okay. Still to this day, that's my.
So what position
game
you play in football?
So I played running back and linebacker.
Running back and linebacker.
Yep, I played slot receiver in high school as well. Okay. Yeah, man, I played Man, I really just kind of all over the field, you know,
Okay.
wherever they needed me.
And what'd you do in track? What was your event?
So that was 100,
100.
the 200, the 110 hurdles, and 300 hurdles. So
Oh,
yeah,
so you hurdler too.
yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't get the technique, but I was fast enough to make up.
Oh, okay.
Man,
okay.
I tried, man. I tried.
Okay,
I
so
tried.
you was one of them fast kids.
Yeah, I was
Okay, I
quick
got
enough
you.
to get back in there, man.
Okay,
So,
good. Good.
and then I went into long jump and triple jump there for a while because I
Okay.
stopped doing 110. And then of course, you know, coaches always make you do the 4x4. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
The relay.
always get you on the relay. And then I
Okay,
do
good.
relays and stuff. So just kind of depending on where we was at and what we needed.
Gotcha. So when you think about it, I'm going to ask you, do you think you had a teacher that you may say was real influential
Oh man.
in your life?
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I got a few of them. I'll go. The first one is the one that I definitely give big props to because he was the one that kind of kept like checking up on me and making sure I was on the straight and narrow and that I was doing something after high school. And that was my teacher, Mr. Lee Allen, and he was teaching at Northeast and he was coaching over at Lincoln at the time too. But he he inspired me in a lot of ways. The way he just carried himself, he always carried himself with, a lot of respect. And he was just kind of a cool dude too, like real smooth, like just a cool dude. And, he was always, talking about the fraternity, Alpha. And so when he was like, when I told him that I was going to college, he was like, I already know what you about to pledge, right? And I was like, maybe. I wouldn't tell him, and then I finally was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to join the fraternity. So, which, yeah, I am a member of Alpha 5, by the way.
Okay, all right, good.
Thanks to him.
I like that. We're going to get to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But also Mr. Shaw, which was, they were good friends. He's actually an Alpha as well.
Okay.
I didn't know that till a little bit later, but yeah, man. But in his class, he would just. He was one of the teachers. He wouldn't let you, start acting up or goofing off in class. He'd kind of catch you before you get there and like, hey, stay on track, stay focused, So he called my name a couple of times when I was acting up, and so him, Coach Shelton, which he was a teacher at Northeast as well. He would just. He didn't take no stuff, man. When kids was acting up, he was more like a disciplinarian. You know what I'm saying? So to keep you on track and make sure you behave and not getting mixed up with the wrong people. And then I did JROTC as well at Northeast High School. And so my JROTC instructors, Sergeant Monegro, Sergeant Monroe. First Sergeant, then Colonel Hilliard, like all of them were like definitely like played big roles. One of them that played a real big role was Sergeant James, and of course I kind of related to him because he shared my last name. But he was there when I think for my freshman and sophomore year, and then he I think transferred over to Lincoln. But he was kind of seeing, who I was hanging out with at first. And, I was kind of getting into a little bit of trouble there at the school. And he kind of pulled me to the side and had that talk with me and was like, you're going to end up either in jail or you're going to get mixed up with the wrong crowd and, and get shot or something like that. And he's like, if you're not, staying on your P's and Q's, and he's like, you got a good head on your shoulders, use it. And he would get angry at me because he's like, look, I see that you're a good kid, but you're choosing not to be because you just want to hang, this is who you hanging with, and that's not what they're doing. They're not being the good person. They're not being about academics. They're not like trying to succeed and do, go above and beyond, what they're expected to do. And so it took a little while for me to kind of see what was going on, and then I was like, you know what? Okay, he's right, you know. And that's when I kind of decided. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do JROTC, and I'm gonna do my thing, man. And
Nice.
ever since then, man, it was just been on the right track. So.
Very good.
For the most
Hear
part.
that. So, have you been back to see any of these?
So I've been back to the school. And a lot of the instructors have JRTC instructors have retired. Colonel Hilliard is still there in Northeast. Mr. Allen, I see him from time to time, but I ain't seen him in a while. That's the one I'm gonna have to get reconnected with, actually, for real. But seen Mr. Shaw like last year. Kind of, and I mean, we'll like be on Facebook, every now and then we'll like, shoot a message to one another. Of course, happy birthdays or this and that, But so I kind of follow them, on there. But other than that, yeah, I've been to the school a couple times and most of them are gone now. Yeah.
One reason I asked, I always like to, preface with some of the things I'm saying.
Yeah.
And talk to, because it's for our listeners and for our youth.
Uh-huh.
But one of our major pillars, our number one pillar and one we stress the most, is relationship building and networking.
Uh-huh.
And so that's kind of why I'm asking about the relationships, because those teachers and those people who play those influential pieces, they're part of that network.
Uh-huh.
Everybody has to have a network. A network's like a net. So when you fall, it gives you somewhere to bounce up. And there's sometimes some gaps in some of our youth's nets.
Yeah.
And they build those relationships with those teachers, those coaches, those instructors, different activity instructors.
Yeah.
Those people can fill those gaps to where your network starts to be complete.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why that is, just so they can understand different people who can play that role to fill those gaps and make that network complete. Because that's a vital, important to success.
It is, and it's great that you said that, because it's like right now, like the students, they may not see it that way. Like I was saying, the teacher would be disciplinarians, hey, stop doing this, stop doing that, or they're telling you hanging out with the wrong people, and you like, that's the homie, They get it, that's your homie. Like, and I didn't understand that till I got older, but they see things, you know what I'm saying? They say, birds of feather flock together, So like, it may not be, they may not affect you directly, but maybe indirectly in ways that you don't even realize it. You know what I'm saying? And just by your association, you losing, any type of ground that you could be gaining. You know what I'm saying? And that's just because if they don't have the same mindset that you have, or demonstrating not saying demonstrating the same potential, because everybody deserves, a chance and some, direction and all that stuff. But but when those teachers, if they see something in you and they getting on you, I know it's tough, but just gotta listen. Just gotta listen.
Yeah.
If not listen and do it, listen and take it into consideration before you do something.
Yeah. And it's true. Like you said, and I love the way that you put it. You was like, it may not affect you directly, but it can affect you indirectly. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't understand that. As young people, you never see the indirect. You don't see it. You know what I mean? And that's what hurts more. Yeah. And the indirect are things, it's like that saying they talk about, a rotten apple spoils the bunch. Yeah. You don't even think that, but you got one rotten apple in there. And just because it's there and it's sitting next to the one, it just starts spoiling the rest of the apples until they finally go. And so that indirect feeling, you don't see it, but it's indirectly, like you don't realize that I'm hanging out with this person, and right now, I'm doing my homework and my grades are good and I'm doing that, but this person don't share the thought that grades or anything. Yeah. Before you know it, instead of getting these A's, I got one homework assignment not done because they don't, and it just kind of rubs off on your mentality, your thoughts, your mindset. you start getting a little more lazier.
Yeah.
It's down the road because they're doing things. So that's a good point. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you said that so our listeners could understand that it might not just be you. I may be hanging with this person and, they're doing big blatant things. And I'm
Yeah.
not doing the big blatant things that
Yeah.
they're doing, but it is rubbing off on me.
Yeah.
It's rubbing off on me indirectly on my mindset, my attitude, what I mean,
Yeah,
all
that's
those
true.
things. And eventually it takes over.
Yeah.
Always. So
That's true.
I'm really glad you said that, and about helping our youth understand the different pieces that can really plug that network in for them. So I like it. Let's talk a little more about you're getting in your senior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're playing football.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting to that senior year. Let's talk about the choice of school.
Okay.
Right? So as you're getting to this senior year, what's going through your mind about choosing a school? All right, and I got to ask this because you coming from Missouri,
Yeah.
and you end up going to a
K-State.
a
Kansas,
K-State.
yeah,
So that's
Kansas school.
out of state tuition
Oh,
that you're
yeah.
paying.
Oh, man.
You're going to K-State. All that. We're gonna
Yeah,
get to that.
yeah.
But let's talk about the choices of of school.
Okay.
So your senior year playing football.
Yeah.
What's your what are you thinking?
So even though like I had like I told you, my teacher, he would, hey, where you going? What you doing after school? He would, or after high school, he would ask me, and honestly, I never had a solid plan because I didn't think that it was gonna be for me, and not that college wasn't for me. I just didn't think that it was affordable. I was just like, I don't know how my parents ain't got money like that, you know what I mean, to send me to school. I don't have scholarships. I mean, I was a good kid through high school, and I made decent grades, but they weren't like excellent, to where I'm getting scholarships rolling in. So they were like, well, just apply for these scholarships, and they, gave me, back then they gave you a book, and you just kind of go through them and find some and go online and apply for them, or find the forms and apply for them. I didn't know much about, financial aid or anything like, really about grants and loans and all that stuff. I was just knowing that I had to do something after high school. So it had to be, it had to go to college. I wanted to, or it would be college. Mainly, to be honest, my mindset is probably like a lot of our youth, that don't feel like that if they don't feel academically strong, or if they're athletes like myself, I said, I'm gonna play football. I'm gonna play football. I don't know what I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna go, but wherever I'm going, they gotta have a football program, and it's gotta be able to take me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So what I kept, I didn't know what major, I knew I was decent, pretty strong in math and English. And so, and I really like James Bond movies with all the, mechanic stuff, like, the walls that open up and all, the fingerprints and all. So I'm like, I want to learn how to build that stuff. That's what I was, thinking. So, they pointed me to, mechanical engineering program. So, but actually what happened was, it came time, for the end of high school and graduation, and I hadn't gotten anything back yet, because I'm like hoping out of nowhere, I can get somewhere into, a D2, D1 school, really D1. I was just hoping I could get into one, so I applied and stuff and ended up getting accepted at Grambling. And that's actually where I went for my first semester of college. Yeah, okay. Grambling State University in Louisiana, HBCU. HBCU, man, dude. It was a good time. It was a good time. But as far as
so let me ask you.
Yeah,
this. Right? I'm gonna cut you off.
No, you good.
So, how did you get to Grambling? So you were just applying. I mean, how did Grambling come up?
So You know what? To be honest, that's where my wife applied, was to Grambling. I applied to just random colleges, and I was doing community colleges.
Okay.
And and I got accepted to a couple, community colleges, and then a little tech program, or what do you call it? Yeah, kind of like the technical schools.
Like Votech?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I that was the route I was planning on taking. I remember sitting on the front porch of the house, and we was already out of school. We just finished, and then my acceptance letter came kind of late. So like it was like, I was like, I don't know what I'm about to do. So I figured I was just gonna work or something. I don't know.
So were you together with your wife?
Yeah, at that time I was.
So you knew she had applied to Grambling?
to Grambling, and then so I went ahead and applied there too. And then when I got the acceptance letter, I was like, oh snaps, I'm going to Grambling, HBCU. All right, we're gonna see what this is about.
Is that where she went?
Yeah, we both did our first semester. Of college there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So now let's do this. You telling, I understand. We get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a plan, and I like this, and I'm always gonna do this preface so our listeners
I'm gonna
can
keep
understand.
I want to keep it raw because I want it to be truthful so they can see. It's not everybody has a plan. Not everybody knows exactly what they're gonna get into. Not everybody knows the interest or a major, that they want to take up when they get to college. To be honest, growing up, it wasn't taught to me to be like, hey, find your interest and go chase after your dreams. It was like, you're going to finish school and you're going to get a good job. You're going to take care of your family, And that's kind of how, how we were taught. Like, of course they say, they want you to go to college and stuff. But, I was a first generation college student. Nobody ever, went to college prior to me. So it was just a learning experience the whole way. So.
Good. And I also like, the fact that you played sports. Yeah. And you let it be known, this is what I was thinking. Yeah. But that's not what had happened. Nah. So this is now I'm here and I'm applying, I'm going here. Yeah. Things are different. So now the thought about path wasn't the path. Because in life, that's what happens. Yeah. We can make plans, but it doesn't always come through. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm
a tree trimmer now.
Right. What happens, and this is something I love. We had a conversation with a good friend of mine. It was on the episode. And, what happens after that? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. What happens after when you bump your head? What happens, when things don't go the way you plan? Yeah. That's what life is about. And that's what makes you successful, because that's the next part of it. Yeah. So that's great. I like that. We're moving. We've ever discussed, they seeing the fact that, hey, you applied, the plan you kind of didn't know, have a plan. And then what you thought with sports, okay, now I don't really have a plan, now I'm applying. Some people in your life is telling you, hey, you need to do something. I like that. Yeah. You applied, you get to Grambling. Now let's talk a little bit about Grambling. We're in college now. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Grambling. HBCU. You at the mighty Grambling.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I didn't even turn 18 yet. I was still 17. My birthday is August 14th, which this Saturday, by the way. Okay. So when I went down there, I turned 18, as we were like doing moving and all that stuff. And this was back when BET used to do I don't know if they still do it or not, but they did the Black College tours back then. Okay. So it was definitely a fun experience. You get down there, and I mean, it's you see a bunch. Of course, it's a historically Black college, so there's a lot of Black people. But they're like, you see the new ones. Obviously, the freshmen look like freshmen, and the upperclassmen look like upperclassmen. You know what I'm saying? You see all the fraternities, sororities. You see, just like, they had what was big and popular there it was like a modeling troupe, and they would do like little runway modeling shows and stuff like that. So that was real, and they had different ones, and they kind of compete against each other. Mm-hmm. You had like a lot of that stuff going on. I mean, you see the band out there at wee hours of the morning. You know what I'm saying, man? And when I'm talking about practice, and man, they got they band is they're you know, as popular as they are because of the way
They
you know that
practice and
they
work.
practice and work, man. Like, and that's, you know, speaking. That's man. That's it was a sight to see. I just put it like that.
They taking that battle of the band
Yeah,
serious.
man, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was just, you know, and that's just that culture of band at the HBCUs, because when you see it in one, you see it in the others. When the other bands come around, you like, man, they doing the same stuff or similar stuff. Like they serious. You know what I'm saying? It was, man, it was definitely like a sight to see, man. Um, it just speaks volumes about the program, about the school, about the pride, you know, because that was like, you know, big thing. Like, this is Grambling, you know, and that's how that school is, man. So of course, I'm there. We did, like I said, we did our move in and stuff. I'm seeing all this new stuff, you know, people, and this is down south now. I went from Kansas City to Louisiana, so they rolling on 24s and 26s already. You know what I'm saying? And what they call them, slabs or something like that. Dunks.
Okay.
But man, they would, you know, come through campus, you know, speakers just just slapping. You know, we had a bunch of good times, man. But the teachers are real cool. I mean, you know, I remember a lot of my teachers. They, you know, they would literally they would take their time and talk to you and make sure you're doing what you need to do, or like point you in the direction, or tell you straight up, hey, you ain't at home with your mom and them now. You on your own. You got to do this. You got to do this work. You got to go to class. You're the one making decisions whether you're gonna get up and go to class. You know, it's not nobody there to sound the alarm and tell you to get your butt up. But it was I remember, like I said, BET did their Black College tour, and Trey Songz came there, and that was like when he like first had his first hit single and stuff like that. So it was like crazy to see him go from there, when I seen him at Grambling, to the artist he became. And then just like, man, everything, man, the dances and stuff that they did down there, it was just lit. It was a fun time.
Did you get to see and participate in the Grambling Southern game?
I didn't. I never made it to the game. I actually still haven't made it to one till this day.
Oh man, okay.
I know, man. I always say I'm gonna go. Maybe that's a thing that my wife and I go do. Go to one of them games, man. But we always talked about it. But while we were there, because this was in 2005, so Hurricane Katrina hit. So you know, into it was in the right towards the tail end of our semester or something like that, or maybe it just finished up. I can't quite remember, but it did hit. And when all the people, the evacuees and stuff, had to come out of there, so they were taking different buildings on campus and stuff, and turning them into like just housing areas and stuff for the evacuees, and it just got kind of crazy, man. Like some of the untold stories about like when there was a lot of we got wind and water and stuff like that, rain, but it wasn't as strong as it was down in New Orleans, of course, because we up at the top, but we got quite a bit of it. And it was like mold and mildew and different stuff like that. And a couple of the dorms and stuff had got shut down. So we were just kind of like, we had heard that they were going to compact the rooms and stuff like that, or add more people to the room that wasn't that big already. I was like, I don't know, what we gonna do about this? And then we were just kind of away from home, and we kind of felt that at that moment, like with everything that was going on with the hurricane, we was like, we down here literally by ourselves, and there's a hurricane, so we decided, like, let's get back closer to home. Now that was my decision. I was like, not that I wanted to go, switch out of a HBCU into a predominantly white university, but I wanted to play football. I was dead set on it. When I was down there, I was training with one of my friends that he was like training with the basketball team and stuff down there. But we go out there for 4 o'clock in the morning workouts, and he was just trying to help me get prepared to play football. And I was just training like crazy. And then after it hit, I was like, you know what, let's switch schools. And if I'm gonna do it, said skip it. I heard about K-State, and I heard about their walk-on program, and they got like one of the best walk-on programs in the nation. Like, and the people that walked on have become big time names in the pros. And they also like smaller running backs. So at the time, Darren Sproles was playing, and I was like a big fan of his, and I would watch him, and I'm like, you know what, he's on his way out. So I'm about to go in here and see, try to get in and play. Anyway, that's what led me to, apply at K-State. And
so I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
As much as you was talking about that HBCU, what made you leave that atmosphere?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Okay.
So that's what it was. The hurricane hit, and then it was time to, we decided, all right, let's get closer to home and let's do whatever. And I'm like, all right, if I want to play football, I'm gonna really try to chase it. And I did. I went and we transferred to K-State. Definitely another culture shock, because just like that, I was telling you, I went from
to Park Hill?
Yeah, when I went up to Parkville to Lakeview Middle School, it was like a culture shock. Same thing when I went to K-State. I'm like, oh, it ain't that many of us at all, But man, we got involved in. I mean, of course, we may end up touching into all that stuff in a minute, but a bunch of different organizations and programs and stuff. Man, that was, man, it was still turned out to be a great experience. Even though I was at that predominantly white university, but yeah, so
I learned something speaking to someone else. I didn't know she called it PWI, predominantly white institute. I didn't know that, so I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's basically what let me.
So let's talk about. So had you got a major?
So I was still, in the mechanical engineering program.
Still in that program.
So I was in the program, but I was playing. I'm there to play football.
I got you.
So I was training a lot. Just doing what I had to do to get by so I could play football. And I tried out the first time in the fall. And they told me, they was like, well, we ain't looking, for anybody at that position right now, but come back. And I was like, I was talking to Sean Snyder, which is Bill Snyder's son. And I was like, all right, well, I'm coming back. You better watch, I'm gonna be ready. And I did. I trained and I ate, and I put on a little bit of weight, some muscle, and got my speed up, and I walked on in spring 2007 on K-State playing running back. Yep, under Ron Prince at that time was the head coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you were there for 1 year?
Yeah. So
before you.
Yeah, 06, and then I went just training and doing school and stuff for that year, and then that next spring, that's when I tried.
The next spring you tried, and then you made it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I like it.
Yeah.
So I love stories, for our youth to say about, man, adversity and keep moving, and then you had to continue to reach your goal.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about this, and we're gonna get to some other things you talked about. But now you're in 07. And you spring ball, you made the
man, I done messed up the whole whole timeline. So in 06, my wife and I, we were at K-State, and we was there.
She's not your wife at that point, is she?
No, she's my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend, okay.
And then boom, next thing you know, we about to have a baby boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during that year of training.
Yeah, and doing my training. So like 06, the spring of 06. So and then we had him in the fall of 06, October.
Okay.
So when I made the football team, he was still a newborn baby.
Okay.
Or not newborn, but
I understand what you're saying. He was born. He was already there.
Yeah.
So is she still in school?
My wife?
Yes.
At the time?
Yes.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Both of us were still in school.
Both of you still in school?
Yeah,
Okay,
at
good.
the time. Matter of fact, what's crazy is that at that the same time I was training to play football and made the team, I was joining my fraternity and joined my fraternity in spring '07.
Okay,
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously. Okay, so you was pledging and trying out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you can imagine.
Okay, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a tough task.
Okay. We gonna get a little more in that. We gonna get there. But I gotta ask you this, so we can kind of move.
Okay.
So you made the team.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You got on, so you'll walk on.
Yeah.
Okay. So for our listeners that don't understand that, can you tell us what a walk on is?
So a walk-on is a person that they contact the school or the athletic department and like, hey, are y'all holding any tryouts for the team? And if so, when and where, is the tryouts.
Okay.
And they'll, give you the information when their next tryouts are.
And you asked them that because you don't have what?
Because I don't have a scholarship.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you got your scholarship players and you got your non-scholarship players. So I didn't come out and get scouted to play D1 football. So, and I didn't get the scholarship to go. So basically you walk on and you got to earn it, to earn you a scholarship.
Okay. I want our listeners to understand what that is in the process of that walk on. I mean, you don't have a scholarship. You're trying to walk on the team without a scholarship and become part of the team, and then with the possibility of earning a scholarship eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Sure.
Okay. So now let's move. I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions about this because when I get to these other subjects, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about the football. Can we talk about football at K-State?
Uh-huh.
Did you play?
So I played throughout that whole spring when I made the team, all the way up to the spring game, and I started for the purple squad. And we did a purple versus white game, and I was starting running back for the purple squad. But yeah, so I did. I trained, and it was an experience that it was an experience like no other.
Okay.
Like no other, man. It was.
So you said you played up until the game, so you didn't play in the season?
So no. So that's where everything started hitting, Remember I had a son.
Son, yes, sir.
It joined the fraternity.
Yeah.
And playing football, trying to make the team. If there ain't no room for academics, when you got all three going on. Or if it is, it ain't much, and for me, and I'm just gonna be honest, me not being like a very studious person like that, like I didn't have the discipline to, just sit down and do all this stuff at the end of the day after I'm like, and that's still, today.
Okay.
Like if I got a long day, I'm going to sleep or whatever. But no, so it was just like, it was a struggle for me, and I honestly struggled with it. I struggled to keep up on my academics. And there was one class I just felt like it was a calculus class, and I was like, man, I ain't getting this. Like I'm gonna just, kind of skip this class. So crazy story. I was still going to my workouts and stuff like that, and then I was kind of skip. I would go to my math lecture because in college you get a lecture and then you get the what's it called? Oh man, I'm having
lab.
It's where you break down into smaller classes to do your study. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, so my teacher in my small class, she I didn't know that she was the rowing team, one of the coaches for the rowing team, right? So and she was my instructor. So I would go to, and we had different instructors for the two. So I would go to my big hall lecture where it was 200 students in there or however many. And then when I got to my small class portion, I'm like, I'm gonna skip this. I know I got workouts, I got this, and that. So I got see the homies on campus. You know, they usually meeting up around this time, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I would skip past that. And then one day I went in for, one early morning, went in for my workouts. And, you know, went in early. And I heard the weights already, you know, getting slung around. And I'm like, man, somebody getting down already. Tink, tink, tink. I walk in there, man, this is my math teacher. And they're cleaning, clean. She's like, oh, nice to see you here, Mr. James. And I didn't see you in class. And then coach stick his head out, training coach, Coach Kent. He's, oh, so you ain't going to class, huh? Oh, snaps. When you a walk-on, you know, you don't have that same value as a scholarship player. You know, they invest money and you know time and resources in this already for these scholarship players. When you're a walk-on, you got to earn everything. There is no room.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's kind of what happened. You know, I got in trouble academics, man, and got put off the team, man. Okay. That's like you said, you have a plan. Sometimes that plan don't go, you know, and it could be, you know, self-inflicted, you know, like in my case. So that was a big struggle for me too, to know that I was right there, you know, had it. And, you know, and then drop the ball. It's like, boom. So nowadays when I get to talking to students and stuff, I always tell them, like, you know, even if you get the opportunity, make sure you make the most of it, you know, like, because, you know, the worst thing is to think is not like, I mean, the worst thing is kind of like, what do you call it? Just, like, what if, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's like the worst thing, you know? You like, man, what if I would have just did this? What if I just did that? Man, if I would have did this, you know, I probably could have been playing this, or I could have been in the league, you know? Because I seen the guys that I was playing with out there on the field, and you know, we comparing talent and stuff like that, and I'm, you know, neck and neck with these dudes, and boom, they playing pro football, NFL, you know? And it was like, yeah.
So now we're gonna switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
We're talking about that. Talk to me about some leadership positions that you held.
Oh man.
While you were in college. Talk to me about that.
So yeah, not all of it was bad. Let me go say that. So football was just a big thing for me. But while I was there, like I said, I joined the fraternity, and then so I actually, man, I had some leadership positions, like just in various organizations. You know, back when I was in mechanical engineering, I had switched majors to social sciences while I was playing football. And then, but I was, just kind of involved in the mechanical or MEP, the mechanical engineering program. Then I was, I served as the president of my chapter of the fraternity, actually.
At one point
on campus. Yeah.
Okay.
So, for my chapter, I was in our Black Student Union. I was involved in that. I sat on the board. I was the treasurer at one point, or the secretary. Let's see, man, I did quite a few things. I even joined a cookie club at one point. Okay. They had a cookie club.
Part of me asking is because I wanted to get to the other part of your college.
Okay, got you.
Experience. Yeah. I understand that some plans didn't work, and I understand football was a big part of what your plan was.
Yeah.
And you were right there, and our listeners, audience understand that too. But I also want them to see the other parts of your memory, because when we talked about, you mentioned several good things that come from college. You know what I mean? And we moving toward the career too.
So in college, you meet a lot of people, man, a lot of good instructors as well. So we had advisors and stuff that was over the Black Student Union, and in our fraternity, in our chapter, Brandon Clark was one of them. This dude, he basically taught all of us that went through that chapter everything we know about professionalism. And then they recommended the leadership studies program, which was still a fairly new program at the time when I went. So I had picked that up as a minor, and where you go in and man, they just teach you a bunch of different things about leadership styles, different personality traits and stuff like that, man. Like, just, how to, just a bunch of different things about leadership. And then just while I was on campus, like you'll see all of these people from these different organizations. They're coming together, either whether it be the Black Student Union or like MEP program or NSBE, the Society of Black Engineers. Different programs on campus, man. You'll see, all of these people kind of coming together, putting their heads together on what we can do to, make it better for students like us. And I really kind of took on to that, and I knew my struggles. So what I would do was share my struggles with other students, and kind of like, if I can help somebody else, like, hey, this is what I was struggling with, or been struggling with, and kind of help doing that. That's kind of the approach I took. So like my leadership style was more like, hey, learn from what I learn from my mistakes, kind of do like this. I was, I did quite a bit of stuff, like I'm saying,
That's
man.
good. I'm glad you were involved
Step
in it.
master and all that stuff for the step team.
Step master. Okay, all right.
Yeah, killing competitions, all that stuff. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, I like that. Good. So I think I know, but I'm going to ask you. You're there. You pledged Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. And why did you choose that?
Yeah, mainly because, like I said, from just kind of inspired by my teacher, Mr. Allen, Mr. Lee Allen. But then also the way that the chapter kind of carried themselves on campus and what they were about. They just exemplify what I would see as like kind of Black men, like excellence. You know what I'm saying? That the professionalism. When you just ask me, all right, what do you consider professional? Like professional attire. When I see them on campus, they're in like suits, or just button downs and ties, and going to different meetings and stuff, and they're like carrying themselves very well. They're like the programming that they putting on is like, it's just all different types of programs that was just like, they was kind of just like top notch, and it just drew my attention. Like for me coming, before I understood the fraternity or what we're about, just from the outside looking in, that's what drew me to it. Was like, they're doing something that I would like to do.
Like.
Yeah,
okay. I like that. One of the things I looked that I looked at. I do a little research back, but like I told you before we were speaking, I have a lot of friends that have pledged, and a lot of them pledge Alpha. So I noticed certain things, and I looked up a few things. But one of the things that I always liked is that one of the objectives that I've read and heard from Alphas have is to aid. I want to say it correctly. I got it written down somewhere, but I don't have it on this note. But it's aid. I don't know the exact words. Down something, but aid. Oh, downtrodden. To aid downtrodden humanity. Yes. Okay. And its efforts to achieve like higher education, and that's not what it says.
Socioeconomic status.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So that's one thing that I noticed that was on there, and I've heard them always talk about and always be. So what I'm asking is, one of the questions I'm asking is, how does that affect what you do in the community or how you go?
So it really kind of brought to light the importance of like uplifting like the members of our community, like and really doing things that like to do programming and doing things like even just volunteer work, service to the community. Things that just kind of uplift. Like, for example, we did voter registration drives. Before I even knew anything about voting, that's where I learned about, really the beginning of politics was in my fraternity. We did a voteless people is a hopeless people. We're doing voter registration drives. We did. We did like Project Alpha, and it was like just, teaching young kids about, it was about just kind of school project, school, college, teach them about even all the way about, intercourse, or not intercourse, but like, sex and sex practices and stuff like that, safe sex and stuff. So like, it was just like just a bunch of programming that we did, man. We even had our like black and gold pageant, which where in our time, black women are, they just get ran over. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's through, literally physically, but verbally, the way that they're, the way they've been talked to, even by just black men, a lot of, misogynistic kind of ways, so this black and gold pageant, brings them into a different light where you can, they're able to showcase their, beauty, elegance, their brains, whatever, and do it to a way that like it really like boosts their confidence and and where they can see their self in a different light, So that was another good program we did. So
I like that. Okay, so I wanted to paint a picture of what all Greek life is about, but especially since you pledged Alpha, I wanted to kind of paint a picture about what that looks like in the community, the service, because I know that the basis for all, Divine Nine basis for that is service to the community, and say uplifting your race and yourself. So I wanted to make sure that we understood that. One thing I got to say this, I always do a little things. I was very I'm trying to think of the right word, and I'm not gonna say shocked because I wasn't shocked because I understand it and I knew things because of who some of the people are that I know that's there. But I was impressed a little bit when I kind of looked at some numbers and things that there's been $2.3 million in scholarship funds raised. 850,000 community service hours has been put in by the Alpha organization. 70,000 current members, 200,000 total members, 114 years, and they say of brotherhood. So it's been around for 114.
Yes, sir.
I always hear them say they're the oldest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oldest and the
I hear
coldest.
that.
Yeah.
And then 708 chapters worldwide.
Yeah.
So just I put a little bit out there so our listeners can understand the type of organization.
A lot
and
of,
for
lot
the
of famous
fraternity.
brothers. Say a lot of famous brother Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay, well,
Yes, sir.
Okay, I
Okay,
I understand.
He's like one of the the most prominent members, but he was one. But yeah, man. So the fraternity just does so much, for the community. It's like it's hard to just put it into one thing because it's like we're everywhere, and that's that's part of
That's
who
when
we
they got
are
to do a
as
little more
fraternity.
research. It's kind of like wet the beak a little bit.
Yeah.
You just let them understand because that's part of who you are.
Yeah.
That's part of your success, I believe. And so we're telling, we're letting them be able to see you thrive in a professional manner through this. But that's part of what's got you in a professional manner. You talk about the leadership. You talk about what they taught you. You talked about some of the roles that you played for your chapter.
Yeah.
So I think that we had to make sure that they understood that's part of it, what it is, what it looks like in the community, so that now, just like you said, your teacher wet you a little bit, they got you intrigued, now they're intrigued. Now they have to, do some research, find someone, and then they can go from there.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Now let's move a little bit into this because it's easy talking to you.
Yeah.
So we kind of move and talk. It's went real good, but we got to get into this part. You're in college, and I know this from our conversation.
Yeah.
So you're in college. How did you get into being an arborist? Like, how did that? Where did that ever come from? And I gotta say this before you answer that. I gotta say this.
Yeah.
Arborist. When we think of that word, you don't know it. Then when you find out, okay, this is a professional tree trimmer, person who in tree care. You don't think of a black man.
Yeah.
That's not the first thing.
Yeah.
Not saying it can't be done. Just say you don't.
Yeah.
So how did this? You get into this, and you're at K State. So you're in a this institution at K State. How did that happen?
All right. So like I said, look, because it's for the kids, not just because, but for that, but I want to keep it raw and tell the truth about like everything and how I came into where I am. So actually, it was during the time at school we were needing to get our son through into daycare while we were taking classes and stuff, and we didn't have the money to to pay for the daycare and stuff, and then I ended up getting into some trouble while I was on campus, trying to make some money to get my son get him through get his daycare and stuff paid. While I was in trouble, I went and I had to met with my probation officer or whatever, and they were like, well, you got to X, Y, and Z payments. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to do what I got to do, because I'm like, I kept telling them, this ain't me. I know I'm better than this, whatever. So I was working on post on Fort Riley, and we were like stocking the barracks or whatever with pillows and blankets and beds and stuff, and and they had us working there. I was doing that, and one day, randomly, they just kind of called it off. And so I'm like, shoot, I got to keep working. So, I called over to this temp agency, and, they had was like, hey, well, there's a tree company there. And I remember talking to them when we were doing the ice storm. And we had an ice storm, and they were telling me about, how much they were making, because they getting paid hazard pay and X, Y, and Z, to do this ice storm. So I called and talked to the boss, and and then I start working. And as I'm working, I'm like, okay, I'm working on campus, and I was only getting paid X amount of dollars, and I was seeing, what the people, up in management and stuff were making, and I was like, well, I think that might be a route, So since I was in trouble, like it was hard for me, what I mean? Like I had applied for a internship, and then background check came, and boom, got kicked out that internship, And then it was like, boom, I just kept hitting those roadblocks. So I was like, but I got to keep moving, Anyway, fast forward, I stayed working while I was, doing school. So I was, while I was working, the boss was like, hey, if you want to come on, I'll hire you part-time. And then that way you can do school. So I was doing that. And then, while I was doing it, I just actually found this interest that I never thought I have, So I'm like up in the top of these trees, and I'm trimming them, and, or we out doing storm work, and everybody, in the line clearance, like we all love storm work, because you just get into some crazy stuff sometimes. But we traveled a lot, all around the United States doing, storm work and stuff, and storm response for hurricanes and all types of stuff, man. So like, we got to travel, you got paid to travel. It was just kind of like, and while I was in it, like I said, I started, kind of honing in on what I was doing, and I really developed an interest in it. And so that's when I was like, all right, I sat down, and I was just kind of had a real moment with myself. I'm like, because I'm an out-of-state student, paying out-of-state tuition, and I wasn't doing very well, and I had, I got in trouble with the law, and my debt was just building up, boom, boom, boom. Like every time I'm, taking these classes per semester, because I'm not able to keep up with, I was trying to pay as I was going, but at the same time, when you getting all these student loans and interest and all this stuff that we're not taught about, and I'm taking emergency student loans, and this and that, and I'm piling one on top of another. I found myself drowning in student loan debt, and I was like, okay, I got a son to take care of. Now it's time to make some decisions. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I decided. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and man, and I started, like I said, kind of studying and honing in on the craft. And after I did some more time was there, a few more semesters. I was just like on and off with school, and then I decided to, just go to tree trimming. So I got close to about maybe a year or whatever or so left. And then I had to pay a balance, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna just go work while I pay this balance off, and then when I'm ready, I know that's what I'm gonna do. But I was studying social sciences, but my interest was, now in arboriculture. So now I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna focus on this. This is what I'm good at. You know what? I'm gonna become an entrepreneur, and I'm just gonna do what I know how to do best, and what I have a legit interest in, and do what I love doing. So once I, started doing it more often, I, got my certification. It went from just kind of trimming trees and getting stuff off the power lines to like proper pruning. Oh, you have this type of tree, this is what's going on with it. Check, look around, checking out people's root system, detecting fungus, whatever the case is, and then
a real tree
boom,
surgeon.
And it just kind of clicked. And so, and that's kind of how I got to where I am today, you know what I mean? So it's like, like, once again, you even though if you say you got a plan, sometimes things don't go according to plan, but that don't mean you at the end of the road. Like that's it. There's always a first step, you know what I mean? So my first step was like, you know what, let me see how I can make this work for me, and took my first step. Now is, finishing up, my degree and all that stuff. Of course, that's something I want to do, when I'm prepared to. But, as far as everything that I'm doing right now, it's definitely, coming into fruition.
Man, I like how you said about the plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first plan.
Yeah.
I like how you said that it changed, because sometimes we can't be afraid of change.
Yeah, yeah.
And change is good. And realizing that maybe your interest or your skill has changed. And that's one thing that we try to really push out to our youth is that, hey, you have to find what you're passionate about, what you like, also what your skills are. Yeah. So I may be passionate and like something, but that's not where my skill is.
Yeah.
And so it can change. Hey, this is where my skill really lies. And then once I get into it, I do love it. I do get passionate because I found something that I'm good at. And not only this is another point. This is the third thing in college that you have went. First, it was the mechanical engineering. Then it went to
social sciences.
Social sciences.
Yep.
Now arboriculture.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with it. And now you are an entrepreneur, business owner in arboriculture, certified arborist.
Yes.
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
So I got to say this. I first started thinking this when we went to arborists and tree. I'm like, so you put on them tree climbing spurs.
Yeah.
So you had
the
a
saddle
little
and
rope
the ropes and all that stuff. Yeah.
And climbing the trees. So you have no fear of heights then.
Once you get up there, like don't get me wrong. Every now and then you get into a tree that kind of gets your knees a little wormy. But for the most part, man, you get up there, you just kind of, as long as you staying focused on your work, you don't really, you don't really pay attention to how high you are up in the tree. One time I looked down, and I mean, I was up in a huge tree, and the dude, he's like that big. like a little ant, you know. I was like, damn, I'm way up here, you know. Or like if you up there on a windy day, you know, which on really windy days, just stay on the ground. But like on this particular day, you know, it was pretty breezy, and then you just get a gust of wind, and while you up in the tree, you can sway 5 or 6 feet from side to side. Some people get motion sickness from it. But you know, it's crazy as it sounds. But like when you get up there, like man, for me it's just kind of like man, I get up there and that's like man, I don't know, that's like I'm in my zone.
Feeling.
Yeah, I feel good. I'm up there and the view, I can see like all over the city. You know, depending on where I'm located. One spot, one of my favorites was over by the stadium, and this was during the playoffs, man. And I got to the top of the tree, man, and it just, I don't know. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, so it was just like the perfect view. I took pictures and all that stuff during the Super Bowl parade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was one of the people that climbed up in the tree. I wasn't the dude that fell out the tree. One dude fell out the tree. He was drunk or something. But I knew what I was doing. You know, I climbed my tree properly, and I went up and man, I got some real good photos and stuff for there. It was a good experience.
Man, nice. So I did a little research. I had to figure this out. So in Kansas, the tallest tree is a giant sequoia. And the second tallest tree, they say, is a Don redwood. Mm-hmm. All right. You're in Missouri. So you work Kansas and Missouri. All right. They say that in Missouri, the largest tree, tallest, is a bald cypress, 111 feet tall. Mm. Have you been in one of those?
Actually, I've been in some pretty big trees. Probably some 100-footers. I guarantee you. But it wasn't a bald cypress. Usually, the real big trees that we get, the ones we come across are usually called sycamores or cottonwoods, and they get huge. Okay. I mean, and they just they like humongous. It's just intimidating because like when you get to them, I mean, I've seen them. The trunk's about as wide as the table of the trunk of the tree.
Yeah, they said that 27 feet in circumference. Yeah. Was that bald cypress? So I'm like, that's a big.
Yeah, it's a big tree. Like sometimes you see them and you just like looking and you like, I can't believe this thing is that big. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So I like the fact that this is it says surgeon or doctor. You know, kind of what popped in my mind because it's not that you're just cutting trees. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're actually caring for them. Mm-hmm. You know, and I like that. You know, the fact that it's, you know, the funguses that's on there, what is the difference of the tree, you know, what brings maybe the bark back, what makes it grow, why are some of the branches dying, you know, those I like that. It's more of the professional. But I do have a question. Did you know what arborist was when you first started? Did you know that term when you first started?
I didn't actually.
You did?
I didn't. When I didn't even, I didn't know there was an actual term for it until I started working at the tree company. Okay. And that's when I learned about it.
Okay. Yeah. And so you was at the tree company for how many years before you started your own business?
So actually, I actually just started. I went full time this year. I was working. The job I was working was actually a union job, and it was doing line clearance trimming for the power companies. You know, for Evergy, and I come over BPU every now and then, and do some on Kansas side. But and I was there for a little over 10 years, and then I did commercial work down in Texas for a couple years, and then this year I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time. So I started my business in 2016, but it was more like on the side. You know, I'm working, you know, doing evenings and weekends, you know, whenever I had the time available to do tree work. And then, you know, so in March of this year.
March of this year, you started full time.
Went full time and
your own business.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I like it. Now, Jay's Pro Arborist Care.
Yes.
So why'd you name your business that? Why you didn't name it something like Jay's Pro Tree Care?
Tree service. Because there was a lot of just
the tree J, the tree
yeah,
doctor.
tree service this, tree service that, and then and I knew like what my goal was. For one, and this is truth, there ain't many black people in tree trimming and like arborists and all this stuff. There ain't that many of us. I haven't come across that many of us. Like usually, I seen them on the line clearance side, but like as far as just in the tree profession, like it's usually honestly like you'll see most of them are just like country boys, or like just rural guys from the rural areas, So, a matter of fact, one time I went to do a tree estimate, and the dude didn't expect for me to show up, and he's like, you the one that's about to come, do the estimate for the tree. I'm like, yeah. He's like, we don't do that type of work. And I was like, apparently we do. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
but
And I love that. That's something that I love to see fields.
yeah. It's something I want to,
Because our youth
grow.
get to understand that
Yeah.
there is no cap on what you can do.
Nah.
There is no, I always say this, there is no position, career, that has, a color on it.
Yeah.
You can be what you want to
Yeah,
be.
you
You can
can.
do what you want to do. It's about what you find that your skills are, educating yourself, getting the knowledge, getting the tools, and then doing it. And
Yeah.
I like that. I think you are empowered to our youth because they see your story,
Yeah.
but they also see what they can become. And we're not telling them that they need to be arborists.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them that they need to be, a coach or anything. What we're telling them is, hey, you can be what you want to be. Find your strengths.
Yeah.
Find your skills. Look at these people that we're putting in front of you and see what they went through, the struggles, the highs, the lows, the success, the decisions that they made,
Yeah.
that they had to make. I loved it. I loved it so much when you said I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Had a son now, had a family, had to make a decision, and this was the decision I went because of this. So I
Yeah.
think that people have to understand that there does come a time where you have to make some
Yeah.
decisions, some choices, some decisions. Some of them are hard.
Yeah.
And my dad used to always say, you have to make a choice, with this muscle, not this muscle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the truth, because sometimes this muscle takes over a lot of choices when this muscle is the better muscle to use. And I liked it. So
Yeah.
our youth got the chance to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jay, man, it was so good having you here
Appreciate
tonight.
it.
We could talk for another hour, man. If
Yeah.
we kept going. I really appreciate you coming.
Okay.
I thank you. I want to make sure that you give our listeners an opportunity to know how they can get in touch with you if they need tree service.
Okay. Yeah, for
All right,
sure.
So why don't you tell them how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can find me. You can find me on Facebook on my Facebook page, Jay's Pack Tree, or Jay's Pro Arborist Care LLC, or you can call or even text me 816-739-6777. Again, 816-739-6777. And I even got a website. Still, it's still under construction, but it's on there. But jayspac.com, JAYSPAC.com. Yeah, so if you interested in getting some tree work done or some assessment, I do. It's not just trees. I do trees, shrubs. We do lot clearances and stuff like that. If we got to do brush clearance or fence line cleanups, and just need to if you need to overhaul the yard a little bit, we do that too. So, but the difference is that usually when I go in, I'm doing an assessment and I got a plan on what's going to be best for what your goals are. So yeah, just hit me up. And I'm also be looking out for it. I'm gonna get in contact with you as soon as it's ready. But I'm working on a little, a youth thing, like a little program to kind of introduce arboriculture and just like the field of green, you know, the green industry, where you're getting into lawn and landscaping, trees, and all that stuff.
Yes,
so,
sir. You please get back in touch with us when you get together,
Yeah.
because we'd love for our youth to be able to understand
Yeah.
and be involved in it.
Yeah,
'Cause I think
will
that's a great field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 questions before we end. One question is, what advice would you give youth that want to get into arborists?
The first thing is that I would say is, yeah, just find somebody, but find a professional. You know, there's a lot of people that's out there doing trees, and there's a lot of safety that's involved with it, and it's a danger. It is a dangerous job. So I mean, you work in a loft 40, 50, 60 feet sometimes. You know, walking out on limbs and stuff. You know, so I would say, you know, contact an arborist, and then, you know, and start kind of, you know, just kind of learning up under them and, you know, getting mentored. And I'm more than willing to start doing that for anybody that's interested. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I wanted to, man. I know where our time is going.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you know, the craziest story of you been in a tree, and that's not my last question. But you got to give me a story. Give me one of the craziest stories. You
man.
already said swaying 5 feet. That's
man,
crazy. But give me one of the craziest stories that you have. While working.
I remember one time so whenever we call it rigging, right? So rigging is when there's a large piece of wood or section of a tree or limb, a large piece that you're gonna take out at once, and you'll take a rigging rope, which is like it's a stronger rope. You'll tie off the limb and have it usually on pulleys or through what they call a natural crotch, which is where a V in the tree. You run the rope through it down to the limb. You'll tie it off. You'll make the cut, and you'll cut the limb, and it'll stay suspended in the air, and they lower it. And the guys on the ground will lower the limb down to the ground. Well, I'm up in the tree, and this piece is questionable, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, this is a really big piece. I don't feel comfortable cutting it. And so there was some dude off the street. He was like, I don't know if he was homeless or whatever, but he come around and he hears my chainsaw running, and like I'm like making a cut so, you know, we can be prepared to do it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take this piece smaller. I'm gonna be safe. And he comes to the backyard out of nowhere. He's like, nah, that's good enough. He's like, man, I've been doing this for years. We got this down here. You got it tied off good. And I'm like, and he's telling me he's been doing this for 15 or 16 years, something like that. So I'm like, all right. And I was still fairly new. I was probably year 2 or 3 at this time. And I was like, all right, well, he know better than me. And I go and I cut this limb. When I cut the limb, the entire top of the tree broke out. Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Never again. Always to this day, hard hats, you know, when I'm in a tree. Now that I know more, you know, I'm more knowledgeable about tree health, you know, I always do a safety inspection to make sure it's even safe enough to climb. If I even see a sign like that doesn't look safe enough, I'm like, nope, we're getting a piece of equipment to it. We're gonna get a lift or whatever and get this down. But you know, that was definitely a crazy experience because I mean, it came down. And matter of fact, he had a old truck parked underneath the tree, and everything just came right down on top of it.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay,
Yeah,
I knew you had some stories. I knew you had some stories.
That was way back in the day before I knew what I was doing. But,
okay.
Yeah.
I end every show.
Yeah.
With the question. And this question is, if you were given a 1-minute ad slot at the Super Bowl, so we're at the Super Bowl, me and you and our illustrious Chiefs are in the Super. They're playing, and we're there, and you're given a 1-minute slot. You can't sell it. All right. What do you fill it with? What do you fill this 1-minute slot for? You don't have time to go think about your 1-minute commercials is gonna start right now.
No business or just anything.
Whatever you fill it with.
Okay.
Up to you. It's totally up to you.
I would say my 1-minute slot would be let's come together in our community and stop all this like fighting and shooting. It's crazy. we got to learn how to we got to learn how to talk to each other like adults, or just like in conversations to resolve conflict in a different way, because it's just out of hand. We losing too many of us at the hands of ourselves, and whether, of course, well, we only got 1 minute, but but that's what it would be. I would say, let's come together and find a way to bring more of our youth into the positive side of things, and not always looking, for that type of way out, or looking for the violent way to resolve conflict, or things like that. Just finding something positive, give them a different outlook on life, to where they can see the positivity, and not thinking that everything is a roadblock, because it ain't. There's always a first step that can be made. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Man, you are something else. You didn't put not one plug in there for Jay's Pro
Oh, no,
Arborist
yeah,
Care.
because in the end, even with Jay's Pro Arborist Care, I want my business to be something that makes a difference. I'm not in it just to go out, cut trees, and make money. I could have been doing anything.
I understand, but I think
yeah.
I might have put one of them, what you call them, campaign things.
Yeah.
This ad is brought to you by
Oh,
James
yeah.
Arborist Care.
That's
I
true.
thought I might throw one
And we trim trees. Real good, real nice,
okay.
real pretty.
All right, well, Jay.
Yeah.
Man, so wonderful. Appreciate having you here, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I was excited about this because I didn't, like I said, I didn't know what Arborist is.
Yeah.
I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of our youth to understand a different career choice and field, to see and be exposed, to a career that they may have never even thought is actually a career.
Yeah.
Or that one could, make a living off of, and not only a living, but be an entrepreneur and a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Before you go, I want to make you a gift or something for coming to be on our show.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to you, but you don't have to open it,
Okay.
because I already can tell you what it is. It's a mug, so
right,
that's
cool.
yours. We'll give that to you. Appreciate you coming out tonight, man, so much. Thank you. And run that number one more time where they can reach you for your business.
816-739-6777.
All right. Well, appreciate you having you here. Thanks for listening to us, and we'll be out.
All right.
What's going on, my good people? For those of you who do not know me, my name is Chris Dunlap, and I'd like to thank you for joining me, and also welcome you to this segment of The Red Pill, where we give you financial tips to help you decode the matrix. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing but the truth, and what you do is up to you. So we're going to start a series on investing. I think we've gone through savings, we've gone through paying off debt, we've gone through credit, so next logical step is investing. Today we're going to start with bonds. So, couple of advantages and disadvantages to bonds. First of all, a bond is nothing more than an IOU that's going to be issued by a government entity or by a corporation for you lending them money. Some advantages of bond is that in most cases, your return on your money is going to be a guaranteed percentage, as well as your principal return is going to come back on your bonds more often than not. However, there are disadvantages of bonds. Personally, for me, the most glaring disadvantage of a bond is that they're super long-term holds on your money. So imagine lending a friend $1,000 for 10 years, which is the average time that most bonds are held. So you're lending somebody $1,000 for 10 years just to get 2 to 3% return. Another disadvantage is that the returns on the bonds are not very high, but they're in most cases a very safe play. But again, for me, the long-term holding of my money, the low percentage gives it a huge disadvantage for bonds for me. Another disadvantage is because bonds are so long-term, you're really opening yourself up to the risk of a government entity going bankrupt or a corporation going bankrupt and going belly up. And what happens in those situations is that you're not going to get your principal back and you're not going to get your return on your money if that happens in a bond. So just like with any other investment, there's going to be pros and there's going to be cons. For me, the biggest con for the for a bond is that they're just super duper long term. How do you get started investing in bond? Again, you can do research on government entities or municipalities like your cities issue bonds, or you can look at different corporations that issue out bonds. If you want broader exposure to multiple corporations or multiple municipalities or government agencies, you can also look at bonds ETFs, which is going to give you a broader exposure to where you're not investing in just one or two individuals, but an entire market or segment of companies or entities that give out bonds. Again, advantages: you're going to get your principal back in most cases. Your investment is a guarantee in most cases as far as the percentage that you're going to be getting back. But the disadvantages are that they're super long term. You do open yourself up to that risk of companies going bankrupt, entities going bankrupt. And then, unlike stocks, bonds do not really grow with the market. You have a company that can perform very well. A bond is going to kind of fluctuate pretty stagnant. So you're not going to expect super large returns on growth of a bond either. So another big disadvantage for me. Thank you for joining me on the Red Pill, when I give you nothing but the truth, only the truth, and what you do with it is up to you.